exact same mistake I did a few days ago. And, okay, locals people, I'm just going to start with the regular broadcast. I think we're now live now. Let's turn Spotify off. And yeah, I think we're working. So, good morning and welcome to the most positive experience of your life. Well, the life of your life might be a little bit of a stretch, but definitely, I hope definitely of your morning that this is going to be the most positive thing. I'm just going to be setting up the Instagram right now, which is again something I'm still learning how all this works. So we go to, hold on, guys. I hope you all had a really good weekend, by the way, and there was a whole bunch of white pills that we're going to talk about. But that's why here we're going to focus on all the positive things, because I don't know if you've noticed, as many of us have shifted over, let me get this here, as many of us have shifted over to kind of the more positive frame and acknowledging all the good things that are going on. Have you noticed some good things have been transpiring? Like there's an aura in the air. There's this essence of change, that there's all these good things that are starting to happen. And that's why this is the Freedom Coffee live stream, where we talk about and acknowledge the freedoms that we have and appreciate them and work to expand them in the future. The iPad's already down to 10%. So what that means for everybody on locals, I may have to unplug the microphone. I told you this is not going to be professional for a while, and then switch to the standard mic. But I don't think it's going to be terribly long because I got to get on the road soon, and there's so much going on. So I hope you all had a good weekend, and I think there's this essence of change with an asterisk in the air. We saw what was happening. Today we're going to talk a little bit more politically in terms of Pierre Poilievre and Prime Minister Blackface and the end of his career, which I've been telling people, Mark Petroni thought I was crazy when I told him we're going to have an election before the end of the year. And I think that is ever more clear than it was this weekend. So cheers and a good morning and a salute to all of you. And let's get started. And please don't hesitate to post your comments in the comment thread. Good morning, Megan. Good morning, Robin. I see there's a bunch of people here on locals, and it works better on Instagram when you press the record button. It works much better. So good morning, everybody on Instagram as well. Ryan T7, good to see you, brother. Morning, freedom lovers. My coffee is terrible, but knowing Prime Minister Blackface is crapping his pants is better than caffeine. I think, I always think about what are the motivations of Prime Minister Blackface, because he really has zero involvement in the government. He doesn't understand what's going on. He doesn't understand the complexities. I mean, I know from people inside that party, they just give him talking points, and he's, quote, the relationships manager. Remember, he let that slip one time. So so what's he there for? Well, he's there for the lifestyle, right? He wants to get on the jet and fly around the world and be the face of Canada. Well, the face of Canada doesn't wear blackface, at least for the rest of us. So anyways, so I'm sure you all saw what I was calling as the coronation of Pierre Poilievre. I always pronounce his name wrong, but you saw his coronation this weekend. I had been saying this. I was told 6 weeks ago that he had 300 ridings locked up. And, well, that seems to be very clear that that's what actually transpired. And because there was a whole bunch of factors at play. There wasn't just, his popularity and all sorts of various influencers who were trying to really push for him, which is great. But at the same time, there was, there's the bad elements of the party, and this is why people attack me, because I'll criticize the Conservatives for their negative things as well as acknowledge the positive. Because we got to be honest, right? We got to be honest. You can't fix the flaws if you don't acknowledge them. And so the infrastructure within the party, the part of it that's corrupt, was also pushing for Pierre. Everybody kind of came on board. And I think it was just the disdain for Trudeau and his ability to treat Trudeau like a punching bag is what really rallied everybody together to say, hey, this is going to be the new leader and the guy who's going to have the best shot and resonate with the most people. So I think it worked. I'm not surprised. And we all kind of knew that this was going to happen. You can, if you go on you timestamp my post on Twitter, you'll see exactly myself and several other people calling it. Hold on 1 second. I need a cable here because, sorry people on locals, I want to keep you in, but unfortunately the sound quality is going to have to dip down a little bit or else we're going to run out of power. Trying to do too many things at once and having a very busy weekend. And an amazing weekend with my editor on the book on Honking For Freedom, good friend of mine that we're putting this all together. And the book is amazing. It's so good. It's really good. You're all going to like it. Don't worry. I'll let you know when it's available, and it'll shed a lot of light on not everything, but many of the things that transpired during the Freedom Convoy, and will give some additional and badly needed context and break through some of the false narratives that have been promulgated by some people. So more on that coming soon. So I'll get to Ryan says, I'm trying to understand how Pierre Poilievre is a white supremacist while Mr. Blackface is a saint. Well, that's how it works. Listen. During the Freedom Convoy, they're calling the leadership of the Freedom Convoy white supremacists. Now, like I said in one of the interviews, I said, I'm Jewish, and unlike Prime Minister Blackface, I still have family in mass graves in Europe. So he's quite disgusting. He's absolutely disgusting and pathetic. So, but that's it. But he's an airhead. He has no idea what he's saying. They just give him talking points, and he just regurgitates them and has no clue what he's saying. And that's been like that since day one. That's why somebody in the Liberal Party told me recently, because I think I've mentioned before that I've been in communication with a lot of people in the Liberal Party who are done with the blackface years and want to go back to being reasonable. That he doesn't have a clue what's going on. He really is. He's quite lost, and that was the structure that they built around him, because they knew his 3 functioning brain cells couldn't figure out how to be an actual prime minister, and that's what they've done. Anyways, we're getting beyond that, right? So I'm sure you all saw, or many of you saw, the speech from Pierre. There's always some good, and there's always some, I don't want to say bad, but like a little bit concerning. For me personally, one of the things I was a little bit like, dude, and I guess I know why, but I'm a little bit less tolerant of this. I know some people in the community are. He's been a proponent of Bitcoin. Good morning, Susanna. He's been a proponent of Bitcoin, but I didn't hear the word Bitcoin in the speech, and that should be a concern for some of us. So we need to see him do a little bit more hustle around that. There's a whole bunch of other things that were really, really good. I think the 50 points, like, I get it politically from a political strategist perspective, and I spoke to a very good friend of mine who's brilliant in this space who brought this point up this morning. And that it really could just have been, 3 points. I'm ending mandates. I'm giving you your freedom back, and we're canceling all this woke nonsense. That's it. That's all he really had to do. His wife speaking there. I'm going to tell you. One day I'll tell you a story of how corrupt and manipulative some people are in political parties in general, not just in the Conservative Party. And his wife's nothing negative against her, but kind of the people in the party, how they try to smear each other. And in the past, how people had tried to smear her in my eyes, and I had never met her. So just kind of, people say things I just, I'm not so sure I believe that. And she took the stage. She spoke about her and her family being Venezuelan and understanding what's going on. And, for me, I was living in Colombia during the Chavez years where, our idiot politicians in Canada were praising Hugo Chavez, the leader, helping the poor people, blah, blah, blah. Like what's that, McQuaig NDP person or whatever. Oh, yeah, he's amazing. I'm like, he's a tyrant. There were more people that went missing during the Chavez years than any period in Venezuela's history. There was something like 80 or 90,000 people. I had somebody I worked with who was Venezuelan at the time. 80 or 90,000 people that went missing, like Stalin's went missing, and the country wasn't at war. Like, how does that happen, right? We all freak out about very serious occurrences in society where thousands of people or hundreds of people get killed or go missing. And in the case of Chavez in Venezuela, it's 90,000 or 80,000 people that were clearly murdered by the government. And our, Linda McQuaig and the NDP was celebrating this tyrant in Venezuela. And when I would turn on the news in Colombia, every 2 weeks it would be Hugo Chavez threatening to align with the communist guerrillas to attack Colombia and the capitalists and go to war with them. So, it was refreshing to see somebody who has the real life experience of what is transpiring in Latin America and understands it so close to leadership in the Conservative Party and can communicate what many of us have been trying to say within the Conservative Party for years. That, like, okay, you want to have immigration. Why are we not taking people from Latin America, right? Why is the bias not towards there? And it's really it's been a frustrating experience for me throughout politics. So, everybody asks me, Pierre, are you confident? Are you happy? What do you think? And I've met Pierre a couple of times. I met him. The first time I met him was at there's some very influential people in the Conservative Party who host. Often they host leaders in the Conservative Party. And this was the last leadership race when Nick O'Toole won it. And Big Mama Sam, thank you. So we went to, it was one of these private affairs at somebody's house, very influential. And I was invited along with some other people. And Pierre gave a speech. And, you see how he is in Parliament. But in Parliament, there's certain constraints and restrictions. And so this is the good thing I'm going to say about him is that, wow, the guy can, in the case of these people, he was talking about energy and oil and gas, and that's what he was talking about in this particular speech. But, man, that guy can deliver a speech. I got to give him credit. I know it doesn't resonate with a lot of people, with some people. But from my perspective, the speech that he gave at their house, which was a little bit more conservative than what we saw last night, it was quite good. Now he has weaknesses, like everybody else has weaknesses. I'm not going to focus on that right now. Let's focus on the positive and on the white pill, all the good things. A great auditor. He really. I give him a lot of credit for that. Lay off the Kool-Aid, Big Mom. Okay, you guys are going to start fighting in the comments. So yeah, I think, the whole tenure of that night left people with a positive vibe that we're turning the corner. And I think if you pair that to my ongoing prediction that we are going to have an election before the end of the year, and this weekend even solidified that for me. I think we are going to be turning a corner. Is Pierre a shoo-in to get elected? I don't know. We'll find out. But I think the liberal, like if I was a liberal, if I was running their campaign, and I'm sorry, I'm a little bit smarter than most of the people who run strategy and political campaigns, as smart as they think they are. They're sneaky, but they're not smart. From a messaging and marketing and branding standpoint, if I was Trudeau's team, I would say get to an election now before this guy has the opportunity to start treating blackface like a punching bag in Parliament. We need to do that ASAP and just smear him as a white supremacist and all that sort of stuff. And it's funny, when we were having our book meeting this weekend at a coffee shop down the street. What do we see? We see in front of the church a Liberal Party banner pop up because somebody was coming to make an announcement for something from the Liberal Party. I didn't really see what it is, and I said to John, I said, "You're telling me they're not campaigning? Look across the street. Already it started." So we know what's going to happen. We're going to have an election. It's going to. My guess going to be they're going to call an election 30 days from now, maybe longer, but I don't imagine to be too much longer. And we'll be in the polls by November, and then we'll see what happens. I will talk more and more about Pierre and the Conservative Party and Trudeau and all that sort of stuff for those of you who want me to talk about politics, because I do get a lot of I'm starting to get a lot of questions and emails. So my pleasure. I will, and I also, the fact that Pierre has taken over the party. I mean, that's part of it, but it's like I have in that Conservative Party, I have people who absolutely love me, who I'm close friends with and I respect, and we talk frequently. And then there's just the garbage that just hates me. And they hate me because they're part of the cult. They're usually lower level people. They're part of the cult that really wants to, they're going to say whatever they're told to say, they're going to regurgitate. And whereas I'm like, listen, we got to acknowledge our faults if we're going to kind of tweak this and refine this system and resonate with more people. We got to acknowledge what our faults are, but they just absolutely refuse to, and those are usually the people who are always gunning for me, of which there's a whole group of them right now, but hey guys, best of luck. Never going to happen. So, in terms of Trudeau himself, I think Trudeau doesn't know what's going on. He just, let's just call him names, and his team's going to run the same sort of strategy that they did in the past. And will it work? I don't know. I think it's run its course. I think you're starting to see regular normies now that are starting to just get tired of the public shaming. Like this is the long march in Maoist China that we publicly shame people. Like, no, this got to stop. So regular people are starting to get annoyed. So the Big Mama Sammy says they pushed Pierre Poilievre because they want him to fail and end the populist movement sabotage in action. That's probably the worst take I've ever heard in my life. It's not even close. Okay. I don't think so. I don't think that's it. I think what they were trying to do is get somebody who was resonating, and he was resonating with the largest group of people. And why? Because he absolutely decimated Trudeau in many of his interactions. There's a very famous one that it's the Parliament over Zoom. By the way, why is Parliament using Chinese spyware? I don't know. Shows how smart we are in this country. But anyways, the fact that he was able to hammer home, that stuck in people's memories. And people, I think they all got the impression that, okay, we finally have a fighter. Eunuch O'Toole didn't work. He tried to turn into a more liberal, I don't want to use the word liberal in a negative connotation, but he was trying to turn into a progressive and make the party go fully progressive. And Andrew Scheer was kind of trying to do the same thing. And I think they finally realized, okay, well, that's not the way to go. Now, here's the problem. The problem is we see what Doug Ford has been in Ontario. For those of you who live in Ontario, you'll know. People who don't, Doug Ford is the Conservative equivalent of the governor for the province of Ontario. Same party, even though they always try to talk out of both sides of the mind. Oh, it's the federal party versus the provincial party. No. Same people, same revolving door. You'll see a lot of people will be now leaving Doug Ford's circle and moving to work at the federal party, which is fine. I mean, I just wish they were open and honest about it, but whatever. People in politics being open and honest. Yeah, not a lot of that. But the problem is Doug Ford does nothing but, right-wing rhetoric and but left-wing policies. He's more left-wing than the previous disastrous Liberal Party government that was in power, that destroyed the province Doug Ford has been infinitely more worse. Like he sprinkles out one or two, retail kitchen table policies, like removing the license plate stickers requirements in Ontario. Which, okay, great, that was wonderful. That regular people will see that, but everything else is completely leftist nonsense, and that's the problem with Doug Ford. And we cannot allow. And I don't think it's necessarily Pierre so much, because that's just one person, but we can't allow the apparatus that really dominates the Conservative Party to force Pierre and the party to keep going down that leftist direction. And I know who those people are. I remember them telling me they wanted to do that. And I was very cautionary. I'm like, I don't think that's really the right move. You got to be conservative, like stick to being conservative. Well, they did the opposite, and they lost 2 elections because they know everything and I know nothing. And the wife stole the show. Fabulous. Yeah, she was good. Pierre Poilievre's Spanish is horrible. He's so bad, but his French is better than mine, so good for him. But it was a nice try, and I think it was a lighthearted moment, so it was very nice. But yeah, she's going to resonate with a certain voting bloc that traditionally maybe have not been so engaged in politics, or were not really not part of the Conservative Party necessarily. It'll help redefine the Conservative Party in the sense that it's going to be so difficult for blackface. I mean, they'll do it anyways, call him a white supremacist married to a Latina. Like, okay, fine, thanks. But yeah, it was. She was quite good, and she was quite strong. Do any of you think that she spoke too long? Just something to consider. I'm not saying yes or no. I'm just curious what people think. If they think she should have been, like, she was good and she was effective, but it should have been a little bit shorter and switched over to Pierre. That's one of the criticisms that I heard. I don't know. I'm of two minds of it, so I don't really, I'm pretty open-minded with that. Anyways, so I think we're probably going to talk more about this moving forward. And I think Trudeau, if I can, use a profanity, Trudeau's fucked right now. At least amongst the nonpartisan voters, that you'll see the fake news media will ramp it up into full gear to try to smear him. But I hope we set enough of a precedent with the Freedom Convoy to teach enough people in politics, in strategy, and just regular people that the fake news media is exactly that. It's fake. So usually whatever Punchy McGregor is trying to sell you, the opposite is the reality. The opposite is what's going on. So we'll see. I've been told a little bit of what their media strategy is within the Conservative Party from some friends there. It would be a little bit different than what they've ever done, and I said that's probably a good way for them to go. And they seem to be learning their lessons. So let's be hopeful. A couple more things, and then I'm gonna have to run out and get out of here. I have mentioned a few times the this idea of the Freedom Convoy and it being sabotaged, and if there was any interest in understanding and knowing how the Freedom Convoy was sabotaged. I'm going to get back to your comments in a couple minutes when I just finish. Trauma Nurse and the rest of you bring up a good point. So I put that question out there last time. I got a whole bunch of private messages or DMs or comments, whatever, and people saying, absolutely, we need to know. I want to know who sabotaged it. And I'm of two minds of this, because part of me is all of me wants everybody to know exactly what happened in its full context, what the truth was, which includes who sabotaged us. But there's a problem. And the problem is, and this is kind of marketing persuasion, sort of Scott Adams talks about this sort of stuff. A lot of you, when I tell you, won't accept it, because you'll have a narrative already around what happened, what transpired, who are the good guys, who are the bad guys, especially the people who live in the sphere of Trudeau bad, Conservatives good. Those people are not going to be happy to know the full context. So it's kind of, I'm just suggesting if you want to know specifically who sabotaged the convoy, how they sabotaged it, and what were the steps and how it had transpired, because it's quite esoteric. It's going to be bit by bit, piece by piece, to put it all together and help you put it all together. It's just you're going to just be prepared to be really disappointed in some people. So I have no problem with opening up and explaining it all, but I don't want to get everybody slipping into cognitive dissonance and saying, oh, you're a liar and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, listen, I was just there. And as you can see, I think politically, like, I am not running for office ever. I just don't, that's not what I want. I want my privacy. I don't really care. I just want some good people to lead the country and the province so everything doesn't collapse. And then I can go off on my merry way. I have no interest in politics. So I have no problem being completely open, but I don't want to be, the one who's the recipient and treated like a punching bag for people who just slip into, cognitive dissonance because they're disappointed. And I understand that. Like, we all can be subjected to that, especially when we hear something that might be the complete opposite of what we've already been led to believe by a narrative that's going out there. So that's my only caveat. So I have no problem helping leading people down the path, but just don't yell at me when you don't like hearing the truth and what actually transpired. We sprinkle in a few of these tidbits in the book, by the way, which is amazing. It's so good. We're finished the first draft minus one chapter is done. So there's still a lot of work to get it out. So like I said before, it'll be there before Christmas. There will be a book launch. If you want to attend the book launch, which I think you will want to, you have to the first dibs, the first people will have the option to get tickets will be people who subscribe here on Locals on the iPad. So if you're on honkingforfreedom.locals.com, then you're going to be first in queue to be able to get tickets. And then it'll be to people who subscribe to my Substack, just because, one has around 500 subscribers, the other has just under 100,000 subscribers, and then on to everybody else. I'll talk more about this as it gets closer, so don't worry about it. It's not like you're going to be surprised, but I'll kind of give you guys all a heads up and a warning. So Trauma Nurse, who is, you're wonderful, by the way. You've been a great and consistent supporter, so thank you. Guys, I see all your tweets and stuff. You're the best. The wife spoke too long. Somebody said to me this morning, he's like, I don't understand. What's Evita Peron? And I'm like, oh, come on. I thought it was kind of refreshing, but I understand that. I understand how, the really hardened conservative voters, why they would take that approach. And so I get it. It would be good to get several perspectives of how the convoy was sabotaged. Well, I don't know. I can just give you my perspective and what we've put together while putting the book together and putting... what we had to do is we had to do first all the research of the critical dates and all the different, press conferences, what was happening on the ground, how everything was growing. And we started, January 15th. Was it the 15th, I think, when Tamara first called me and just went through every day what was transpiring. That was a ton of work to get all of that stuff done. So I'm trying to make it as objective as possible because, perspectives infers that it's subjective. I'm not going subjective. I'm just saying objectively what transpired, what happened, who said what, who was doing what, and people can read into their own things. If Kool-Aid was wrong, don't want to be right. Okay, I'm not sure, but okay. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I do love your avatar. I think your avatar is amazing. Big Mama Sammy, and thank you for joining. Okay, so I think that's all for now because I got to run. I got to get over to the U.S., but follow me on Substack, BJdichter.substack.com. Those people will also have the opportunity to get tickets after the Locals, honkingforfreedom.locals.com. Is really where you want to be. It's going to be sometime before Christmas. We'll try to make it that it's a date and time that's convenient for everybody. I respect the fact everybody's got a busy life. We'll probably be doing it at night. after dinner, that's or maybe dinner time sort of thing for several hours until late into the night. And I'm going to try to, or we are going to try to ensure that it's as fun as possible, that it's going to be a fun vibe. It's not going to be your typical book launch where I'm going to be sitting there reading one chapter from the book because, well, who wants that, right? Who wants to? Oh, and also I think just another question, should we have one chapter in the book that I thought might be perfect for this of publishing one of the chapters prior to the book launch, publishing one of the chapters on Substack. Do you think I should do that? If you do, let me know. Post a comment, send me a chat, send me a message, whatever it is. And I will post one of those chapters. Maybe when we do, I don't want to talk about the strategy yet, but I know when we'll do it. So if you want to, I will do that. If not, I know some people don't like spoilers. So in that case, I'll just refrain from it and wait till the book is launched. So that's it for now. We're going to talk more about this Pierre versus blackface moving forward. I don't want that to make the focus because I don't want this to be like politics all day long. I want us to be able to talk about politics, but from that positive frame. Morning, K9. And the fact that, look at the white pills we're getting. Look at all the good things that are happening. I know for me, since I've really forced myself to come openly and to come out openly and speak about all the positive things that are going on. I mean, kind of like that anyways, but just to reach out to all of you and say, hey, let's talk about all the amazing things that are happening. Things have been amazing. I mean, yeah, there's always bumps in the road, but like the whole aura is changing and going in that positive direction. And I think we're going to be turning the corner, and life is not only going to get back to normal, but we're going to head back into the next golden age. And I'm going to talk about that more in the future. All right, I got to run. And yes, publish a chapter would be great and help sell the book when it's launched. Okay, agreed. So we got one vote from Trauma Nurse. I'll give you a little star. And so thank you, everybody. I got to run. I hope you have the best day ever. Stay positive. In Toronto today, it's a little bit gloomy. But you know what? We need rain. We need gloominess. We need it for our trees need rain. Our plants need rain. Everybody needs. So this is all good stuff, right? These are all things that we should be celebrating. And it's the days like this that allow us to appreciate the sunny days even more. Okay, got to run.